Hi, so this is my test map area. It's to test all the metrics of my Quake single player game. Well, not game, but map. I can't say game. Okay, so start with kind of made this thing, which is like the player's starting box height. So what I learned is that the player doesn't actually match this hitbox because this hitbox does not fit in things that are the exact size. Instead, the player will collide with the wall and not be able to move at all. So yeah, let's just do a quick run through. So here we are. This is literally our size. We see that our eye level is actually about slightly under that line, which indicates the 3 meter mark. Yeah. Actually, that might be the, well, not meters. But cubes. Oh man, the jump volume. So an interesting thing that I learned is that slopes actually you start sliding down very gradually, depending on how much the angle is. So this will be really interesting to use like on the outside areas of my map, especially because I'm gonna be having like the military base surrounding a sealed church, but it's going to be in like a frozen area, so it'll be cool to have like an outdoor area for that. Alright, let's get started with this. So player is 2 by 2 by 3.5. The narrowest path he could take, or they could take, is something like this. So a 2 by 2 path. Well, not 2 by 2, but 2 for width is the narrowest they could take. Actually, this one might be a 3. Yeah, this is a 3. That's my mistake. This is a 3. So this would be the narrowest that they could take. If you make it into a 2, they'll actually just not be able to walk inside. My standard doorway that I'm going to use would be this guy, which is 4 wide. It just fits in the theme with making everything bigger. This feels right for a game. If we use this one, which is probably what we would use if we made it more closer to life, it would feel very constricting. Only time that I'm going to use something like this is whenever there's a secret area. I'm going to be using this one for secret areas. This would just be 2 alternatives to big doors. Not doors, but entries. The biggest doorway that I have here would be like a 9. Yeah. Just straight up 9. So a normal would be a 4, and a 6, and a 9. Our standard cover, I put cover over here. I indicated which one I wanted by dropping that mark on it. Yeah, not really the best mark, but so this cover is actually like the perfect size for a player to use, just because they feel that they're not like too far out when they're up against something. Like I was originally going to use this one, but clearly the player would feel like they have way too much out in the open here. This would be my alternative cover. It's a 4 by 3. 4 height, 3 length. So this would probably make sense in like the cubicle areas that I'm going to have as cover. Whereas this one would make more sense in like hallways. Then when we go to our jumps, we could just walk over something that's like 1 block high in the grid system. And then this would be 2. Then we could actually jump 2.5, which it kind of surprised me. Yeah, that's actually like the biggest thing that surprised me, getting 2.5 in. Just double check real quick to make sure that it is actually 2.5 because I miswrote it on my paper. Yeah, I put 3.5. Whoops. All right, well, it's actually 2.5. And then we can't jump higher than that. 2.5 would be our max. But for the purpose of our game, we're going to be using 3 just to make it a little bit more lenient when the player jumps forward. Don't want them to feel like that they missed a jump just because they were off by like a smidge when they were falling. Yeah, like that. I'd rather have them just glide over. Thankfully, Quake is pretty forgiving when it comes to walking over things. And then what I discovered is it's really easy to make jumps in Quake. Like, could just keep on making jumps like no problem. But I don't want to fill the player up with too much anxiety. So I'm going to use the standard jump, which has a lot of room for error. It's super easy. The player doesn't have to get anxious every time they see a jump like this. So this is actually like the longest jump that you could go without running or sprinting. It's pretty difficult. You could strafe jump it pretty easily just because of Quake's movement. But if you were to sprint, it's really easy to clear. We'll probably be using this as our difficult jump, and then this would probably be the jump that we never use. Like, this is like the farthest that you could get when you're just sprinting straight and jumping. So not too many players will actually be able to get this jump. Maybe if I was like making a super level, but no, this is like, I don't think this is a good idea at all. Yeah, you have to be really perfect on it, otherwise you'll just miss that. And moving past our jumps, we'll have stair height or stair step height. I would like to use 1 as my stair step height just because, well, that's just how it works in Quake Engine. Like, I can't walk up 2. Most of my steps will be like this guy. What is that? One height, 2 length. The reason for that is because the player can easily walk down them. Whereas this one, like, you're just going to fall off it every time. If this one you're just walking, you're actually hitting every step so you don't hear the falling sound. Now moving on to ramp height. So, yeah, these ramps are kind of weird because, like, you could do like a super jump with them to an extent. Or it feels like a super jump, but it's not really a super jump. I guess it's just actually, yeah, it's kind of like a super jump. Like, we're getting a lot more height than normal with ramps. But like I said, I'm not too keen on using ramps in my level. The max that I'll do is like this guy right here, which I would say is about 150 degrees, being our obtuse angle. This guy, which is like slightly, yeah, these two are kind of like, this one's just booting me off if I tap back once. And then this guy, I don't like how steep this is. It feels like, while walking up this, I would really hate engaging in combat when walking up this, but something like this is very manageable. Especially if we make it wider. If this was wider, I would feel like I'm just like sliding back too much from strafing. Like, I'm actually just falling by pressing left and right. This guy, I don't really notice it, so I think this is fine to keep. But most ramps will probably be one of these 3 iterations. Like, very, very subtle. Alright, moving on. We have our ceilings in the basic hallway. So this would be my basic hallway. Its height is 8 from the ground. And then the big hallway, we're gonna up it to 12 just to make it feel like there's way more space. then in the basic room, the height of the basic room, it's going to be a 10. So it's very noticeable. Like there's a clear distinction as to what the hallway is versus the room if we up the height. Then over here, when we go in the big room, we're going to make this one, what was that, 12? I might need to make it a 14, but for now, like, this feels pretty solid. If I make it a 14, I feel like it would feel more like a cave than a big room, just because of how massive this room already like looks when you just enter it from the big hallway. So yeah, earlier we saw that I was like experimenting with this turnabout, which is going to be constantly used. This is one of the most popular paths that you could use for first person, well, for game design in general. Then a lot of my entries and other things are doubled because the player won't notice any subtle differences. Like I would say that this is a very substantial difference from that. This one not so much, but the player will notice it when they walk up because look at how much field of view they lose. Like you're straight up looking at a picture frame at this point. Whereas this one, it's like, oh, you just like lose the top right away. Like this is so much more to look at versus this, and it's harder to walk in the door. Whereas this, you can see like so much more. And ceilings in confined hallway. Oh yeah. So in order to do this. Oh, I guess this would be the confined hallway. So this is 4. We're gonna be using these hallways for like secret areas or little passageways we want to force the player to travel through if they like fall through a pitfall. So these, having everything feel so close will give the player some tension, so they don't know what to expect up next, so they most likely won't be running through everything. They'll probably walk through everything. Running through it feels like a death sentence. And yeah, so I already talked about the ceiling in a small room. The small room, probably going to drop that down to like 6 in height. This would be the normal room. The other room was the big room, and then the small room would be like a 6, but that's going to feel like a cramped area. That area is probably only going to be used for secrets or armor or weapon pickups. Then our short hallway from this end to that end is 18. So I would say that this is like a really good pace, especially if the player is running. If the player is walking, it might be a little too long, but the player will have an advantage when they come around the corner because they won't like feel too flustered by wide swinging too far. And then yeah, our small room is actually 24 by 24. It's a pretty good size to see what's in here. Then our large room is 48 by 48. So this just feels incredibly massive compared to the other one, even though it's only twice the volume. Well, not volume because height, but length and width. It's only twice that. It feels absolutely massive compared to the other one, which makes me claustrophobic to an extent after just being in that large room. A long hallway will probably be around 40. So actually this is the long hallway. This is 40 right here. It's really good pacing for a running player. It's not like a long straight line that's going to last you like 10 seconds of just holding the W key. No one wants that. This would be our small hallway. This would be 18.
that's pretty much all that I have. Thank you.